Welcome to our Ignite session. My name is Paul Nash, Vice President of Product for Azure Compute Platform.
And I'm Jurgen Willis, Vice President, Azure Specialized Workloads and Storage.
Jurgen and I are excited to share the latest Azure innovations to help you modernize your infrastructure with increased automation, uptime, and security. We'll begin by sharing a few examples of what companies like yours have been able to accomplish with Azure. Then we'll focus on security, a topic that never ceases to be relevant. A number of important announcements will follow. New capabilities to help you modernize your infrastructure and your on-premises applications. Azure also provides monitoring, diagnostics, automation, and configuration services to meet your operational and control requirements in a unified manner. We'll discuss how you can benefit from the new Azure management features that we're announcing. Finally, we'll review the flexibility that Azure provides with consumption models, tools, and offers to help you optimize your cloud spend. We'll close with a demo to showcase some of the latest components in action. Let's get started. From the beginning, Azure has been engineered to help you migrate your apps to the cloud and modernize your infrastructure. Thousands of customers across every industry trust Azure with their business-critical applications. They have been able to scale their business operations and increase their business agility and resiliency while improving the compliance and security posture of their operations. Let's take Cargolux, for example. The airline has more than 50 years of experience flying a wide variety of shipments across the globe, from aircraft engines to live animals. Cargolux chose Microsoft Azure to keep the lift and shift as simple and straightforward as possible. Their goal was to increase business agility in a fast-changing competitive market. Currently, Cargolux has 11 different business-critical applications running on Azure, supporting flight operations, airplane maintenance, cargo management, and finance. Azure has given them increased performance, higher availability, and improved stability. And you can increase business resiliency with Azure. eClinicalWorks is a national innovation leader with cloud-based solutions for electronic health records. The company supports ambulatory practices, specialists, healthcare centers, and urgent care facilities. They decided to get out of the infrastructure management business and move to Azure as the heart of their applications. The company sought a cloud solution that's HIPAA compliant and could meet their requirements. After evaluating Azure and competing cloud platform providers, eClinicalWorks was drawn to Azure for the straightforward setup, ease of use, and dedicated support from Microsoft experts. Azure has given them platform agility, resilience, and uptime. To keep the world supplied with high-quality building materials, industry giant Cemex relies on SAP applications to power their day-to-day operations. By migrating its SAP landscape to Microsoft Azure, Cemex has saved money, improved performance by 40 to 70% for migrated SAP applications, and increased IT flexibility with on-demand cloud services. The company felt that Azure offered the best combination of performance, security, scalability, and services. The agility of your business operations is more important than ever, especially during times of increased macroeconomic volatility. And in Azure, you can increase agility and security at the same time. In fact, at Microsoft, we believe security enables business agility, if you take a comprehensive approach. That's why we integrate security with compliance, identity, endpoint management, and privacy as part of a multi-cloud, multi-platform, unified experience. We understand what your security team is up against because we're defenders ourselves. More than 8,500 global Microsoft security experts work with the latest AI technologies to process trillions of security signals a day to help safeguard your business assets and data in the Microsoft cloud. And with Azure Confidential Computing, we've been innovating well ahead of other cloud providers.
Azure has been a leader in confidential computing, allowing regulated industries to bring their most sensitive applications to the cloud. Azure Confidential Computing encrypts data in memory, thereby enhancing the protection of data throughout its lifecycle. In addition to existing Azure solutions that protect data at rest and in transit, data can now be protected while in use in a zero-trust environment. Microsoft was the first cloud provider to provide confidential computing VMs and support for confidential containers in Kubernetes. Only Azure provides the broadest and deepest set of virtual machines, containers, and services powered by the latest confidential capable CPUs from Intel and AMD, as well as confidential GPUs from NVIDIA. This has enabled customers in regulated industries to unlock new scenarios, such as multi-party data analytics and machine learning, thus combining data sets from multiple parties while keeping data and the intellectual property associated with their algorithms private. Once again, Azure is the first cloud provider to introduce confidential VM node pools for Kubernetes based on third-generation AMD EPYC processors with SEV SMP security features. This capability enables seamless lift and shift of Linux container workloads to the Azure Kubernetes services. We're taking a two-pronged approach as we broaden the confidential computing portfolio. We're expanding the number of foundational services like confidential VMs in AKS, so you can build your own confidential services in Azure. And at the same time, we're adding confidential computing capabilities to Azure services like Azure Virtual Desktop and SQL Server. We're announcing a new option for Azure customers to run SQL Server on AMD-based confidential VMs. Users can deploy these confidential VMs without any changes to the code of their SQL Server applications, their database schema, or stored procedures. Azure Virtual Desktop users can now choose confidential VM for their desktop virtualization experience. This capability ensures that the apps running on a user's virtual desktop are encrypted in memory and backed by hardware root of trust. This new capability is now available in preview on AMD-based confidential VMs.
Secure computing options need a secure network to run on. Azure Network Security offers cloud-native, zero-trust-based services to help you strengthen your security and increase agility. You can protect your cloud and hybrid network infrastructure and applications from evolving threats. You can also improve your security and compliance posture with integrated solutions that provide a holistic view of your environment and help you identify and respond to threats quickly. With Azure Network Security, you get comprehensive solutions that are highly available, scalable, and easy to deploy and manage. Rather than spending time and resources managing different vendors and solutions, you can focus on growing your business. While organizations of all sizes face similar security risks, small and medium businesses are particularly vulnerable as they often have fewer resources and lack specialized IT and security teams to address security threats. Enterprise solutions may be too complex or sophisticated and are often too expensive. However, we believe that our security solution should be available to all our customers. With the preview of the basic SKU for Azure Firewall and IP protection SKU for Azure DDoS protection, we're bringing enterprise-grade network security that is easy to use and cost-effective to small and medium businesses. The Azure Firewall Basic SKU delivers enterprise network firewall security at an affordable price point to protect the resources within your virtual network. Azure Firewall is simple to set up and configure and requires zero maintenance. With the IP protection SKU for Azure DDoS protection, customers can defend against attacks with cost-effective, comprehensive DDoS protection and the flexibility to enable protection on individual public IP addresses. Unlike on-premises solutions and network virtual appliances, these services provide high availability, scalability, and tight integration with other Azure services so you can strengthen your security posture and increase agility. Building on a comprehensive security strategy allows you to confidently capitalize on the latest innovation we're bringing to market and modernize the applications and systems you depend on to run your business. Now we'll discuss our investments in three core areas. Azure infrastructure innovation, specifically within compute and storage, to continuously improve price performance, scalability, and the resiliency of your applications. New ways to help you modernize your applications by working with partners you rely on for your on-premises workloads. And how we're adding new automation, monitoring, and management capabilities across Azure to increase your operational agility. With Azure, you can tailor and optimize your environment to meet the needs of your stakeholders and ultimately help optimize business outcomes. Let's begin with compute and storage. Last month, we introduced new Azure virtual machines that feature Ampere Altra ARM-based processors and deliver excellent price performance. These VMs can also be deployed as part of Kubernetes clusters managed using Azure Kubernetes Service. These new Azure services have been designed to efficiently run scale-out cloud-native Linux applications and leverage outstanding power efficiency to help lower environmental impact. ARM-based VMs are accessible through Azure Resource Manager, the Azure Portal, Command Line Interface, PowerShell, and SDKs. Azure Marketplace includes several ARM-based images and extensions. And with Azure Monitor, you can quickly analyze key metrics to track the performance of your ARM-based services. Azure Backup and Virtual Machine Scale Sets support these new VMs as well. Customers like Amadeus, the leading IT provider for the global travel industry, are tapping into a maturing ARM ecosystem and a seamless integration with Azure services, and they're planning to use the latest ARM-based VMs in production to run their cloud workloads at scale. We've also been working with partners like Ansys, Elastic, Datadog, and many others to bring this new and powerful architecture to market. We provide support for various Linux OS distributions, including Canonical Ubuntu, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, SUSE Enterprise Linux, CentOS, and Debian, and we plan to add support for Alma Linux and Rocky Linux in the near future. In Azure, we take a systems-level approach to continuously improve the efficiency of cloud infrastructure, and we innovate across all layers of the stack to meet the requirements of a broadening range of workloads. In any infrastructure use case, compute and storage need to go hand in hand. So we also have new and important storage services to review.
That's right, Paul. Azure Disk Storage has consistently provided highly scalable and reliable block storage for business-critical workloads. We provide enterprise-grade durability with a 0 annual failure rate, as well as industry-leading single-instance availability SLAs for standard SSD, premium SSD, and UltraDIS. We also provide simplified disaster recovery and migrations, in addition to shared disks with zone-redundant support for both Windows and Linux applications. In July, we added Premium SSD v2, the most advanced block storage solution designed for performance-critical workloads, to our disk storage portfolio, and have received very positive feedback. We're now announcing the gated GA of Premium SSD v2 for applications that consistently need sub-millisecond latency combined with high IOPS and throughput. Premium SSD v2 can support a broad range of enterprise-grade data-intensive workloads such as SQL Server, Oracle DB, MariaDB, SAP, Cassandra, MongoDB, big data analytics on virtual machines, or stateful containers. With Premium SSD v2, Azure customers can now provision up to 64 tebibytes of storage capacity, 80,000 IOPS, and 1,200 megabytes per second throughput on a single disk. In addition, customers can separately provision disk storage capacity, IOPS, and throughput based on their workload requirements, resulting in greater flexibility when managing performance and cost. And we continue to innovate. We are thrilled to announce Azure Elastic SAN, a unique cloud-native and fully managed storage area network service that our competitors simply do not offer. The service is available in preview today. Elastic SAN offers a scalable, cost-effective, high-performance, and highly available storage solution, which can connect to a variety of Azure compute services, enabling customers to seamlessly migrate their SAN environments to the cloud without having to refactor their applications. The new service enables block provisioning of block storage to achieve massive scale up to millions of IOPS, double-digit gigabytes per second throughput, and low single-digit millisecond latencies while serving a broad range of workloads. And resiliency is built in to minimize downtime with zone-redundant storage to achieve high levels of availability when running business-critical applications. Elastic SAN provides an end-to-end experience like the on-premises SAN environments you're familiar with. However, unlike your on-prem environments, you can dynamically scale up the capacity and performance on the fly without waiting for a new appliance. We've talked about the latest innovations coming to the Azure infrastructure platform. Now let's look at some ways we help customers modernize their on-premises applications with Azure by closely working with the same partners that you rely on to run on-premises workloads. First, I am pleased to announce the general availability of Nutanix Cloud Clusters on Azure. If you use Nutanix, in your on-premises environments today, now you can easily extend or migrate these workloads to Azure without modification or retooling. With built-in network integration, you can migrate applications to a consistent Nutanix environment on Azure bare metal hosts and also integrate with other Azure services such as Azure Virtual Machines, Azure Data Lake, Azure Active Directory, AI, and Analytics. You can also extend an existing Nutanix environment to Azure for a hybrid cloud environment, allowing you to scale your infrastructure on demand or use Azure for disaster recovery. This allows your organization to leverage existing Nutanix skill sets to quickly spin up new resources in Azure Data Center and spin them back down when you don't need them anymore. No more waiting to procure and provision new hardware or paying for idle hardware. We're also excited to share recent updates to Azure VMware Solution, or AVS, a comprehensive VMware environment running in Azure data centers that allows customers to use existing VMware skills and tools to speed their cloud migration. I am pleased to report that AVS is now available in 24 regions around the globe, more than any other cloud provider. This week we announced the preview of 2 new features. Stretch Clusters for Azure VMware Solution provides 99.99% uptime for mission-critical applications that require the highest availability. And Customer Managed Keys is now in preview and gives customers maximum control over access to their encrypted vSAN data on AVS.
Thanks, Jurgen. It's great to learn about the new capabilities in the Azure infrastructure space. Earlier, I talked about the importance of our security services in enabling business agility. However, you can further enable agility by keeping your environments well managed and well operated. This way, you can spend more time on value-generating activities such as migrating and modernizing your environments, innovating and developing new skills, tools, and processes to enable your employees. Azure offers many services covering monitoring and diagnostics, automation and configuration, governance and policy, and of course security, to meet your operational and control requirements in a unified manner. With all these services built into the same platform, you can benefit from shared intelligence and machine learning algorithms that span multiple resources and even subscriptions to bring greater visibility and insights, thus increasing agility. Today, we're excited to share some of the new services and capabilities in this space, intended to further drive efficiencies. Let's dive into them. With Azure, you can dramatically simplify the management of your infrastructure, and we're introducing some new capabilities that can help you do that with automation. Azure Auto Manage is a service that saves time and improves workload uptime by automating configuration and management of VMs throughout their entire lifecycle at scale, whether they are in Azure or in hybrid environments enabled by Azure Arc. We're excited to announce that Azure Auto Manage is generally available for Azure VMs and Arc-enabled servers. We've added more capabilities to automate and support for more OS distros, including Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Canonical Ubuntu, SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, in addition to Windows 10 VMs. New configuration options include support for Log Analytics Workspace, Azure Tags, and Microsoft Anti-Malware for Azure VMs and Arc-enabled servers. Windows Admin Center is the tool of choice to manage Windows Server, and it's now generally available in the Azure portal to manage Windows Server VMs in Azure. Furthermore, we've announced a preview of this experience to manage Arc-enabled infrastructure. You can now configure, troubleshoot, and perform maintenance tasks with the familiar look and functionality of the Windows Admin Center UI for servers and VMs running anywhere without leaving the Azure portal. In addition, Windows Admin Center now provides single sign-on to Azure Connected Infrastructure using Azure AD authentication for both domain and non-domain joined machines. Managing Windows Server from the Azure portal has never been easier. Now you can use the same tools you know and love in more places. And we continue to give you the power to choose and keep using the tools you are familiar with and decrease your time to value. For example, in a testament to our strong partnership with Red Hat, the Red Hat Ansible automation platform on Azure is now available to customers in North America, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa regions. Red Hat Ansible automation platform on Azure enables IT organizations to quickly automate and scale in the cloud with the flexibility to deliver any app, anywhere, without additional overhead or complexity. You can achieve full-scale automation in minutes by deploying the managed application directly from the Azure Marketplace. Collecting, analyzing, and acting on telemetry data from your Azure and hybrid environments is a critical success factor to run your business operations smoothly and increase application resiliency. Azure Monitor helps you support your operations at scale by maximizing the performance and availability of your resources and proactively identifying problems. Today, we're happy to introduce new Azure Monitor capabilities to further modernize your environments for agility and optimize costs. With the general availability of predictive autoscale for virtual machine scale sets, you can leverage machine learning to determine when to autoscale your VMSS resources. By anticipating an increase or decrease of your resource instances, predictive autoscale helps you stay ahead of demand fluctuations, thus enhancing productivity, optimizing costs, and increasing reliability. We're also introducing lower-cost alternatives to ingest logs. With the GA of Azure Monitor Basic Logs and Data Archive, you can ingest logs at 1/5 of the current ingestion costs and archive data for up to 7 years. Note that this capability will be available for Microsoft Sentinel too.
In addition to monitoring your infrastructure components, we've extended Azure Monitor to directly support workloads like SAP. With the Azure Monitor for SAP Solutions capability, SAP customers who have typically relied on complex and disparate tools and dashboards can now collect telemetry in one location and get an end-to-end view to easily recognize patterns and correlate data between various components. We also released the preview of Microsoft Azure Center for SAP Solutions, or ACSS, a unified experience for deploying and managing SAP solutions on Azure. Partners and customers have told us how they can now deploy SAP on Azure within minutes, just with a few mouse clicks. Their operations team benefits from the full visibility and end-to-end control of their SAP systems. We continue to add new functionality to ACSS to offer more capability and an enhanced user experience. We're extending support for registering existing Windows-based SAP systems. We're adding support for the deployment of SAP S/4HANA 2020 and 2021 systems, and support for additional VM sizes. We're releasing additional quality checks to keep you informed when your infrastructure configurations deviate from best practices. Lastly, we're integrating Azure Cost Analysis with ACSS to give you better insights into the cost of running your SAP workloads. In addition to the investment in the infrastructure, we're also investing in the end user experience. We've teamed up with SAP to deliver a new collaborative SAP ERP experience, which combines mission-critical data from SAP S/4HANA Cloud with industry-standard collaboration software, Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Office, to enable people to work together on key business processes without having to switch applications. As a result, users will see an increase in personal productivity, collaboration, and improved decision-making. Let's take a look. In this preview demo, an account executive views a customer's block sales order in SAP S/4HANA. The account executive contacts the credit manager in a Microsoft Teams chat to ask for approval of a credit limit increase. The chat automatically includes a loop component showing relevant account information. The credit manager receives the message. In the loop component, the credit manager can view information like key metrics and order status. The loop component can be copied in Teams and pasted in Outlook as well, making it easy for the credit manager to communicate the request with other stakeholders. Later, as the credit manager is working in Teams, she can approve the new credit limit without leaving the flow of her work. And since loop components are always live and in sync, the update gets automatically reflected in the component, in the email, and in SAP S/4HANA Cloud. The order is now unblocked. Support for adaptive card-based loop components are planned for the upcoming SAP S/4HANA Cloud deliveries. To be among the first to try these exciting new features, please join SAP's Early Adopter Program.
Thinking of mission-critical apps like ERP systems, various organizations have been hosting mission-critical applications on mainframes. For those customers desiring to retain their investment in mainframes, we've enhanced our core systems strategy to embrace and complement mainframe systems through data and application extensions to Azure that unlock new scenarios, increase insights, lower cost, and increase business agility. Additionally, we've expanded and simplified our migrate and modernize offerings for those customers on a path to retire their mainframe. To learn more about how you can use these offerings to transform and connect your mission-critical mainframe apps to Azure, please refer to the URL listed on the slide. We recognize that to deploy business-critical applications to the cloud, you need more than great products. You need expert guidance with access to industry best practices, reference implementations, and design methodologies to accelerate your time to value. Within the well-architected framework, we provide suggestions based on lessons learned from reviewing numerous customer applications and first-party solutions. We give you actionable recommendations that provide the technical foundation for building and operating a highly reliable solution on Azure at scale. With the primary focus of mission-critical workloads is reliability, other pillars such as security, performance, efficiency, and health modeling are also important when building and operating mission-critical apps in Azure. A constant priority for many organizations is cost optimization and operational efficiency. We offer a comprehensive approach when it comes to cost optimization. With Azure, you can avoid sunk costs and increase your operational agility by scaling your IT footprint up or down, depending on several factors, including business cycles. More specifically, we provide a broad range of consumption models. For example, you can use Azure Reservations, prepaid software plans for Linux, to significantly reduce your costs. Unique offers that help you bring your existing Windows Server and SQL Server licenses to Azure with Azure Hybrid Benefit. And the same benefit applies to Red Hat and SUSE Linux subscriptions. And a set of tools like Azure Advisor, which provides recommendations to help you optimize your cloud spending. The VM Selector and the Pricing Calculator that help you identify the best VM and disk storage options at the lowest cost for your workloads. And Cost Management and Billing, a suite of tools you can use to analyze, manage, and optimize the costs of your workloads. Additionally, taking advantage of the latest Azure VMs and disk storage offerings can also help you realize the improved price performance we bring to market regularly, and that too can help lower your cloud bill. Another way to optimize your costs is to use Spot virtual machines to provision spare Azure compute capacity at significantly lower rates. Spot VMs are ideal for workloads that can handle interruptions and don't need to be completed within a specific time frame. You can run workloads for development, testing, quality assurance, advanced analytics, big data, machine learning and AI, batch jobs, and rendering and transcoding of videos, graphics, and images at a very low cost. And we continue to expand the functionality and ease of use of Spot virtual machines with tools available in the Azure portal that help you choose the best Spot VM for your workload at the lowest cost and eviction rates. Today, we're making it even easier to take advantage of Spot VMs. We're announcing the preview of a new virtual machine scale sets feature that allows you to mix standard and Spot VMs in the same VMSS. Customers can configure policies that define the allocation percentage between standard and Spot VMs. This new capability is available with VMSS Flexible Orchestration Mode and can help Azure customers achieve significant cost savings while expanding the range of workloads that can take advantage of Spot VM discounts. In the Azure portal, we already provide an easy way for you to view and select alternative VM sizes that are better suited for stateless and interruptible workloads with regards to region, pricing, and eviction rates. Let's see some of these new features in action.
Hello everyone, welcome to this session on Azure Spot Virtual Machine. I'm Rajeesh Ramachandran, Principal Product Manager on the Azure Core Compute team, and today I'm so excited to talk to you about the 3 new features we launched on Azure Spot Virtual Machine. To start with, we made it easier to view and select alternative Spot virtual machine sizes across 5 different regions of your choice, along with pricing and eviction rates, to better suit for your stateless, flexible, and fault-tolerant workload by introducing Spot virtual machine size recommendation. Next, we introduced the capability to programmatically access relevant Spot virtual machine SKU data in the form of pricing history in the last 90 days and eviction rates for the last 28 trading days, through Azure Resource Graph, which with the goal of empowering our customers to identify the SKU that better meets their specific workload needs. Finally, we added a key feature on Spot for our customers using virtual machine scale set, the ability to mix regular priority and Spot virtual machines in a single virtual machine scale set create request. This capability allows Spot customers to configure the desired capacity percentage distribution across Spot and on-demand virtual machines. So the platform will automatically orchestrate each scale-out and scale-in operation to achieve the desired distribution by selecting an appropriate number of virtual machines to create or delete. Customers can also optionally configure the number of on-demand virtual machines that they would like to maintain in their scale set during any scale operation. With that, let's jump in for a quick demo. For the purpose of this demo, I'm going to switch on to Azure Portal. These new features are primarily available for our customers deploying Spot virtual machines using virtual machine scale set. Let's go on to the Basic tab and key in the information. I have selected the preferred region as US West, the orchestration mode as flexible, and enabled Azure Spot discount. You will see the default configuration for Spot with VM size, eviction policy, and eviction type. As I click to configure Spot, you will see a new tab, Size Recommendation, allowing you to choose and compare alternative VMs sizes, view 90 days of pricing history, and eviction rate up to 5 different regions, allowing you to choose and select the best region and the Spot VM size that meets your specific workload needs using this recommendation. Next, we move on to the Scaling tab to set the initial instance count to 10 and then scale with virtual machine and Spot virtual machines to configure the desired percentage distribution across Spot and on-demand virtual machines, allowing you to mix both regular virtual machines and Spot virtual machines in a single create request. Now, let's move on to the Azure Resource Graph to learn more about how to access relevant Spot virtual machine SKU data in the form of pricing history in the last 90 days and eviction rates for the last 28 trading days. Let's run the simple query to get the pricing history for standard D2S v4 and standard D4S v4 for East US and South Central US. Below, you can see the results. These sizes haven't seen any spot price changes in the last 90 days. You can choose to download the results as CSV if required. Similar techniques also apply to eviction rate history by running the below query for the same SKU, standard D2S v4 and standard D4S v4 in East US and South Central US. You can view and download in the CSV format the eviction rates as well. You can also access the data through our Azure Resource Graph REST API programmatically. With that, we will come to the end of this short demo. Thank you so much for staying with us. We hope you will be able to adapt and run more workloads on Spot virtual machines with these new added capabilities. Once again, thank you.
To further ease the process of migrating and modernizing your apps and infrastructure, the Azure Migration and Modernization Program offers the best mix of resources and expert help to accelerate your cloud adoption journey, from assessments to planning to eventual deployment. Built on best practices from the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework and well-architected framework, AMP provides prescriptive step-by-step guidance, assistance from specialized partners and Azure engineers, cost-effective offers and incentives, and skilling to ensure confidence across your organization.
Paul and I hope you found this session valuable, and we're looking forward to seeing how you can use the services and features we reviewed to maximize the value of your existing and future Azure investments.
We're leaving you with a few suggested sessions you can attend to enrich your learning experience at Microsoft Ignite. The sessions listed on the slide will also be available on demand after the event.